It's the start of a brave new dawn, Jonesy, our weekly roundup show featuring a bit of cricket, silly point, that rubbish quiz that you like so much and cop that. But in today's show, should the ICC step in and govern individuals and boards that don't seem fit for purpose? Silly point, you and I have pulled together our cricket 11s made up of sports people who sound like they should be playing cricket. Cop that looks at the 100 franchise rebrands. There's some interesting stuff going on there. And the Under-19 Cricket World Cup is going on in Zimbabwe. I look at some of the highlights, plus a quick tribute to David Collier, who sadly passed away this week. Remember to like and subscribe and enjoy this episode of Close of Play. Jonesy, how are you? We're back. Our weekly show. Ashes are done. Q&A is done. And we'll be sort of going on a world cricket trip with some other bits and pieces. Looking forward to
it? Yes and no. I think there's some delicate subjects there. You swinging some punches for the ICC early doors. So that's let's get into that. But for me, it's all right. I'm in a mock marking season, so after this is done, I've got a load of papers to try and decipher what on earth my GCSE business students have written on their mock paper.
I'll be blaming the teacher personally. Dear headmaster, Mr. Jones seems to be doing podcasts whilst he's supposed to be teaching his business studies. That sort of thing.
Yeah, well, that's your fault.
Yeah, probably. Right, let's start off with, as you said, as I said at the beginning, as you said, let's get it out of the way. It's all going off in Bangladesh at the moment. So it starts off, I don't know how much you've been following what's going on, but it starts off when the BCCI instructed the Calcutta Knight Riders to remove Mustafir Rahman from their squad. There was no reason given for it. Obviously now tit for tat starts. Bangladesh then say, right, we won't broadcast the IPL if our player's not playing in it. And then the BCB, the Bangladesh Cricket Board, then sent a letter to the ICC refusing to play its World Cup matches in India. I think a decision is due sometime this week on that. And then linked but separately, strangely enough, their finance, the board, the BCB's finance guy, their committee chairman, Nazmul Islam, his name is, had said earlier that he believed that national cricketers should be asked to return, and I quote, the crores and crores of taka that the BCB spends on them if Bangladesh was forced to miss the T20 World Cup. Now, that backfired against him. He said it off the cuff, I think, in some sort of political rally. He said that the board wouldn't take the hit, the players should do it. There's obviously something underlying that thing. That then led to a strike, which didn't last for that long, where a couple of Bangladesh Premier League games were cancelled and a couple of Dhaka League games were cancelled. And that's in its entirety is what's happened to date. Clearly, it hasn't finished there because there's still a ruling that needs to take place. But is individual power getting worse? Is it getting more and more prevalent, especially in countries that, if you take the top three, England, Australia and India, maybe India as well, is it a case where individual player power or governing power or body power is becoming more and more prevalent in the game?
Well, I think the real issue, the issue with this one is highly political. In the research that I've sort of done with it, the backstory is based on some sort of incidents against Hindu minorities in Bangladesh, which has led India, to sort of speak out about. And this is where it does get really unfortunate on the Bangladeshi player, is he's in the centre of this political sort of back and forth. And that's what I feel more so. He's in a position that's through no doing of his own that has come about it, where they basically said, right, let's, because of what's going on politically between the two countries, because of these incidents, let's get rid of the Bangladesh player who's had nothing to do with it. And so then it's, you've got two countries who are just going to keep going back and forth. And so it's who steps in to try and work it out. And then What we don't want to see is it fall forward into the T20 World Cup, because Bangladesh have potential of, so they to do upsets, but it's so that's the tricky bit with this. That's where if
Yeah.
we're politics is not my thing, and it's not something that it's you got to tread carefully, don't you? So that's a bit more of the backstory with this. So there's quite a bit to it, and then there's been that tit for tat. But at some point, the ICC are going. They will just say that Bangladesh has got to play, but clearly between the two boards and the Bangladeshi Cricket Board not showing the IPL, that the issue is between the two boards, and I just don't know if the ICC will step in strongly enough. Because if you think historically, when England have said about Zimbabwe and matches that they've sort of about playing there, they've always said, no, you've got to play them. And so that's where the power struggle is going to be.
Yeah, they one of the solutions that the BCB had put forward was that they swap matches with Ireland. So they base themselves down in Sri Lanka and Ireland come up and play, which, I think at this late stage with TV scheduling and all of the other, it isn't as simple as just 22 people rocking up on a pitch and hitting a ball around. There are so many things that make up a game of cricket at that level. So clearly that wasn't ever going to be a starter. But it puts the ICC in a difficult position, I guess, because whilst this isn't in any way, shape, or form a political show, sport and politics sometimes can't be separated, and unfortunately, this situation is one of those cases where that is so.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, the scheduling and it, on the back of the Ashes, we've seen what scheduling can do and how far need to plan it, and especially when all the amount of TV crews that are going to be out there. So sounds like Bangladesh have offered a solution. So it's just a nightmare. This close to the World Cup. Whoever's sitting in the ICC offices will be there just sort of thinking, well, this is so this couldn't be timed worse. We're so close to it. The Indian powerhouse. India rules cricket in the world. The ICC are not going to get India. They won't get India to back down, and India
No.
know that. So that's the trouble. You've got Bangladesh against the biggest power in cricket. There's only one winner there.
Yeah, and I think if it was the other way round, you'd find that probably UAE would be hosting that T20 World Cup as it's done with other sort of the IPL and stuff in the past. And obviously because it's in India and India is holding the cards as far as that's concerned, it does mean it's going to stay there, and there needs to be a solution for the Bangladeshis, which makes it strange that their own finance chairman, and I don't know what he meant by this, but then basically throwing his own players under the bus, as it were, and saying, "Well, if we get kicked out, then you need to pay back. We won't, as a board, we won't be the ones that are out of pocket." Seems a really strange thing to say for a member of that board who's supposed to support his own players.
Well, it's a financial man. He's probably looking at it thinking, about trying to get some money back. But you're right. And if the players are doing it in solidarity, in support of their player who's been kicked out, and saying, well, we won't play it on the back of it. That's where this guy's coming from, and say, hang on a minute, you've been paid well.
Mm.
The rest, why can't the rest of you go and play? What's your problem, sort of thing. So, but that's where you come into team culture, team unity, and sort of standing up for each other. And, you've seen that in the past. Well, in the wrong way, in the AFCON recently, I don't agree with what happened with with Senegal stuff, but, with the teams there, you try and build a culture of unity, and you try and get it working the same way. In the same way as if they feel that there's a player that's been wronged, you do want teammates to support each other.
Another country that the ICC has to deal with is the American Cricket Association, who in September the ICC said they had suspended the USAC for serious breaches of the ICC's code, and then, not coincidentally, the USAC put itself into bankruptcy mode by terminating, or it earlier terminated, a commercial agreement that it had with the American Cricket Enterprise. and this goes back. I mean, I wanted to sort of lay the Bangladesh story out really as the basis for, smaller boards who are sometimes run like mini fiefdoms by individuals, and it isn't always for the good of the game. And that was kind of what I was getting to really. Is the game being on a smaller basis controlled by individuals who don't have the game's best interests at heart? And if that is the case, should the ICC step in and run those boards and associations that basically they see as being malevolent and acting against the good of the game?
Yes, I'd agree with that. Definitely. When it's clear and obvious that if there's an individual who is at the top of that board who is is out for themselves and is manipulating things and is making poor decisions, then yes, that's when the ICC, especially these sort of lower countries like PNG, potentially like USA, and considering USA have they have a quite lucrative T20 competition, don't they? I know there's quite a
Yeah,
few
yeah.
England players,
Major League Cricket. Yeah,
sort of base players. Yeah, and someone who I played quite a lot with, Liam Plunkett, he's based out there.
yeah, he
He's
is. Yeah,
based out there doing cricket, and
yeah.
so you have. It's really interesting. It's sad to hear that someone like America, where they've tried to really progress, and the ICC and cricket's tried to be a breakthrough in there. If you've now got a board that's bankrupt, through poor decision making, then that's where ICC needs to exactly step up, send someone in there, sort it out, because if cricket can break it properly into the USA, it's a massive market that
Oh,
has
huge.
huge potential.
The Major League Cricket, which I guess, even though it's a separate entity and a separate company, must have to run under the auspices of the local governing body, i.e., 700 is an ECB majority competition. Because Johnny Grave, who was the CEO of the West Indies Cricket Board for a number of years, has gone in the last year or so, maybe, to run that. He's a good administrator, so you would assume that Major League Cricket as an entity, which is backed by Microsoft and those sort of types of corporations, or certainly that the CEOs of those corporations, is on a steady footing. Yet the association that runs the game in that country isn't. So it will be interesting to see what happens there, I think. And obviously with the World Cup just around the corner, it'll be interesting to see what decision the ICC will come to as far as Bangladesh's participation is concerned. So that's the heavy bit over with. So did you like that? What was that like as a start for you? Yeah, you got it out of the way. Yeah,
That was
done. Right.
that was under some heat. I was waiting for the complete setup for me to try and say something which was going to incite millions, if not billions, of Indians, and so you just sitting there thinking, "Go on, Jonesy. There's the sort of there's the opportunity for you to go and put your foot firmly in your mouth and create a load of trouble."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that to you. I do it on other things, but I probably wouldn't do it on that particular subject matter. So let's go to silly. So, I like giving things names. Obviously, we have Cop That, which, as I mentioned, the 100 we should go to next, but I'm not going to. We're going to go with our quiz section is now entitled Silly Point. Okay. Do you like that? It's good. I thought you might. And we're gonna have some 11s over the next few weeks. I want to make him as daft as possible. What I want to get to really is, can we get to a UK sitcom cricket 11? Right, that's what I want to try and get to. But we're going to start off today with sports people who aren't cricketers, but whose names mean they should be cricketers. Okay, and I gave you that when you sent me that WhatsApp message and said, "What the hell are you talking about?" I said to you, Pedro Neto, which I thought was an excellent one to start off with. See, if you've got him in your side, which I have as well, then you can't have him. But go on, you go with your side first. Let's just see, mainly to see if you've actually got your head around the gist of the game.
I think so. So basically, my players, sports people, surnames has links with cricket.
Yes, very good. That's a good start. Understanding the game is fundamental to his success.
Yeah. but I've realised because I did this with a good pal of mine at Prince's Golf Club Saturday morning over a fry up because he was a bit worse for wear, and we canned it at 9 because I felt he needed a bit of sustenance. So he's helped me a bit with this one, and but what I can't remember is there's one name here which I can't remember what sport they played, but they're brilliant. Right, okay. Starting from the top,
Is this
Gareth
in some sort
Bale.
Oh, very good. That's a great start. Yeah, no, yeah, great start. Yeah. I'd see him as a bit of a medium. I'd see him as an all-rounder, wouldn't you? Gareth Bale. Reckon he can bowl a bit, give it a bit of tap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Silky left-hander up the top.
Yeah.
Okay, David Batty, footballer.
Okay, yeah. It's getting as tenuous as Pedro Neto at this point. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. I'll keep my next one, which is a double, right? Which is worth double points. Padraig Harrington. So
Why is
Pad
it
and
double?
Ton.
Yeah, but why is it double?
Pad for, but his first name is Pad,
I
isn't
see.
it? Padraig.
Isn't it pronounced porridge?
And then Harrington. Yeah, no, it's Padraig.
Oh, okay, fine. For the purposes of your side, right? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And then we come up. I don't know where we come, but there's a sports person called Diane Leather.
Okay, good. Yeah, made up.
And then there's a few golfers. We were heavy on the golf. So Lucas Glover.
Yeah, good. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. Richard Boxall.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah,
another golfer.
very good.
We go to the rugby world, the Antipodean rugby world of Australia for Tim Catchpole. Double, catch and pole.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm actually giving you about 14 here.
Yeah. Is that
another one?
Oh,
this is what I've forgotten. No, this. Yeah, I know. But Ben Edge, I've forgotten what sport Ben did.
Yeah.
And then another golfer, Marcel Seam. Brilliant.
Just giving yourself slap on the back. Excellent.
Yeah. And then this one might take you a bit. Marcus Waring, as in Ringfield.
Dear, oh dear. And then
there's
the lowest of the lowest.
The only one which I couldn't get was I was desperate for Willow. I couldn't find another sports person with it, but I did play with a cricketer called Charles Willoughby.
Yes. And as I said to you before, I faced Charles Willoughby. No, not bad, mate. Well, I mean, first of all, you've actually understood the game, which is a marked improvement on the last time we did anything like this. Right, do you want to hear mine?
It probably helped having a very hungover person come up with it with me. So yeah,
that's true. Yeah, fine. Well, maybe you should do that for the next one as well. When I tell you that I spent about half an hour, 45 minutes trawling through the internet trying to find somebody called Courtney Hind as a sports person, you're the level at which this side is at is just giving you a clue. So Pedro Neto I'll take out. So there was as a footballer who played for Forest and was on loan at Luton called Josh Bowler. Arsenal fullback and centre half Ben White, as in Whites. My wicketkeeper will be James Old Trafford. I'm just going to laugh at my own gags. Trent Alexander-Arnold, as in Trent Bridge. And on the same theme, Wayne Trent Bridge, which I think is an excellent one as well. There's an NFL guy called Shane Beamer. So there you go, that counts. Lee Trundle was a footballer. I think he played for Wrexham. Leo Full Trossard. Full Trossard's brilliant. You've got to laugh at that. That's funny. Also plays for Arsenal. Gabriel. Roger Hunt. County. Urian Timber for Stumps. And the Willow is, I think he played for Ireland. Willow Flood was a footballer. So there you go. That's my side. That worked worse as a game than I'd hoped, to be honest with you. I thought it had potential to be quite a good game, but actually it was total garbage. So there you go.
Yeah, well, and you wanted me to completely mess it up and come up with something which you could just
Yeah,
abuse me for, and I didn't. I
that doesn't help
smashed
when
it
you
out of the
actually
park.
listen.
So
So I
yeah,
think
shall I give you very quickly
go on.
Patch's cricket names 11 that he sent me once he'd sobered up later in the afternoon. So Ben Duckett,
Yeah. Yeah, but he
Jamie
plays cricket.
Overton. No, this is a
Twice.
cricketer's
Well, this
11
is a
of what
new
you're.
game,
Yeah, yeah.
totally. Yeah, okay,
He
fine. I'm with you now.
Yeah, he's took it a step further. He's
Mm,
very intelligent chap.
yes,
Yeah,
when he's
Graham
sober.
Pointer.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Mark Ramp Rakash.
Yeah, I like that was good. Prakash. Yeah, in case I didn't get
Yeah,
it.
Pete Peter Bowler. So
Uh-huh.
he came
Yeah,
up with a lad called Jack Willow. I'm not sure if he
okay.
played in with the village grip, but anyway,
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
he there is at number 7. He's got his mate Dave Leather. And then in brackets, I went to uni with him, but he's played first class. So there you go. So there is
Okay.
someone. Ben Cutting, Ian Bell. This one's going to Dev Dutt
What's Ian
Padikal.
Bell got to do with it?
George, ring the bell when you walk out to bat. Come on, mate.
Bloody hell. I
Uh,
mean,
George Bailey and Cyril Edge. There you go. Well done, Patch.
what's George Bailey got to do with it? Oh, my crikeys. I tell you what, I mean, it was a worse quiz. It was a bad quiz to start off with. He's just made it a lot worse. Please don't mention him again. I mean, try and find some other friends who actually stick to the game. I think Leo Full Trossard's the best, by the way. As was Gabrielle. That was funny. Right. You can. What we could do is actually, if any listeners have got worse teams than that, which I don't think would be that difficult, then send them in the chat. Let's see if we can read them out next week. But do I trust you to come up with a game for next week or not? What do you think? Or are you going to leave that to me and you're going to blame marking stuff for students as your excuse as to why you can't do it? What do you think? Bearing in mind, I want to get to a Dad's Army 11 or, a British sitcoms. It's got to be able to do it. Why not?
Yeah.
You going to leave it with me or are you doing it? We'll put you on the
mate,
spot.
I haven't got the mental capacity at this point in time. I'm full up. You're good at coming up with these ones, sort
Fine.
of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bugger when you actually listen and you don't cock it up like you have done all the way through the other quizzes, though, which is a shame. I need to make it more difficult. Right, cop that. You ready? So this week, the 100 franchises have been through a rebranding process. The Oval Invincibles have become MI London, Northern Superchargers have become Sunrisers Leeds, and Manchester Originals have become the Manchester Supergiants. Now, all right, that's fine. The city-based approach is in line with how the IPL works. And really, after just 3 years of being called the Manchester Originals, now being called the Manchester Supergiants, it's not a major thing. But the Manchester Supergiants specifically, their logo has been doing the rounds on social media because it's got an elephant in it. Now, if you're trying to gain an audience in Manchester, why choose an African elephant as your logo? It's not even an Indian elephant, it's an African elephant. But did the new owners not understand that the city rivalries in this country are based upon football? So the Leeds Sunrisers, by changing the Northern Superchargers to the Leeds Sunrisers, are they not automatically alienating fans from Bradford or Sheffield, for example? And then are they trying to build sort of football affinities as the football clubs have done in the past? But ultimately, it's a TV product anyway. So global eyeballs are probably more important than what people in the cities think. But has the 100 gone for people who didn't like the 100 and for those who were on the edge? Has it now gone completely because it's affected the IPL in England?
Yeah, well, I'm still sort of in bewilderment of that.
The African elephant.
Very well.
Yeah,
you're right. It's just ridiculous. Like, you're right. Like that's the danger, isn't it? That's what the ECB, by selling off these franchises, is that the only thing that, the smallest word in this logo is Manchester. And go back to my mate Patch, who's a whiz with logos and as a graphic designer. He would be commenting like that on that because you're right, Manchester. Why isn't it a tram? Why isn't it something that there's something that you can associate with? I don't have a problem with potentially linking it with IPL franchises, because my understanding is what these IPL franchises do, and what we're not far away from, is players being contracted not by counties but by IPL teams. So you come and you play for the Manchester, right? Manchester. What are they? Elephants. And then, but then you play
Super
for your,
giants. Yeah.
you play for the same team, or you play for the same team all around the world. And so that's what they've done. But going back to what's gone on here, and you're right, you mentioned about Leeds, and specifically being about Leeds, whereas people with the Superchargers before, you're right, Bradford, and everyone would go and watch, and they don't seem to have bothered. They don't seem to be bothered about that at all. It's just sort of like, we've got an association, let's go in there. And then when I think about players, I saw this week, and I know I'm a bit of a fanboy of him, but Jordan Cox. Jordan Cox was the leading run scorer for the Oval Invincibles. He was the leading run scorer of the whole tournament. I read this week he's been binned out of there.
Yeah,
So I agree that their number one their number one batter hasn't been, at this point, been offered a contract. And Jamie Smith, I see Jamie Smith's just signed for what was sort of who play at Lords now. What are they going to be called?
London Spirit. Well, they're still called London Spirit.
Yeah. So Jamie Smith, I saw, was signed for the Spirit. So he's gone from the Invincible. So that's my only bit, is that, not only bit. One, do some links with the local, with Manchester. An elephant, I haven't seen too many elephants. When in 2005, when we were, actually, it might have been helpful when 10,000 people were outside the stadium the last day, and we couldn't get to the ground. It could, if an elephant had come along, I reckon I might have jumped on it, because that would have been useful.
In my old advertising days, there was, when we worked for Adidas. Well, it was just TaylorMade Golf at the time. We had a phrase that was basically, think global, act American, because that's how the marketing materials and all of the collateral and stuff would come from the States, spelled with the American spelling, which, as we know, is wrong, and with American golfers and stuff, and we had to change everything and customize it for the UK, and then multi-language for the rest of Europe. But the Americans, they just didn't understand that that's it just, their spelling of a word with a Z in it wasn't going to fly here. I think that same sort of thinking has taken place now with the Indian owners of these IPL franchises, or 49% stakeholders with operational responsibility, that says, right, we're gonna link everything together, as you said. And I get that from an operational perspective, because if a player is contracted to a Royals franchise, for sake of example, or an MI franchise, that's fine, because that's contractual. But whether he or she plays for the Mumbai Indians or MI Lion, from a front-facing perspective, should be localized, because how else are you going to get a level of long-term brand affinity in your local environment if you're alienating your fans in the first place? And it doesn't make a lot of sense, really, and it does strike of arrogance to an extent, in terms of saying, well, this is how it's going to be, and we're going to build this great sort of multi-club ownership structure, and you're going to like it. But unfortunately, for those who didn't like the 100 in the first place, I think they're going to like it even less now.
I feel for the person that's going to have to be in the mascot suit all day. That's a job and a half, strolling around,
especially with those
elephant.
ears. I mean, I think if you'd chosen an Indian elephant, I think you might have half a chance of getting through some of those turnstiles. But there's a big flappers that the African versions have got. I think it's going to be a struggle for the poor mascot. And do they have a race? They do, don't they? It was like the T20 Blast. Oh, that's the T20 Blast, isn't there?
That's the T20, where there's a bit of controversy a few years ago with.
There was, yeah.
I think it might have been Lanky the giraffe. Yeah, didn't wear the proper shoes and just had the trainers on and absolutely stormed it.
I mean, if you can't be trusted, to run the mascot's race without cheating. Forget everything else. That's what this country has come to, Geraint. If you can't run a race properly. Who's the Kent mascot? What is it? Is there a Spitfire?
I do know that Kent is a horse. Yeah, it's sort of a horse which they keep in, and then I reckon it's literally the day before that they forget this race is on, and the day before they go, someone needs to go to the final, and some poor person out of the office just gets sent up to wherever the final is, and put this suit on that's probably so it used to be I think it's fallen away a bit, but when it first came about, you'd have Bumble, wouldn't you, commentating, and it was just absolute chaos. Where I think now it's one of those ones. It's a token gesture which they thinks funny, but it's probably run its race.
Marvelous stuff. I knew you were on the show for some reason. What's going to happen, I think, now is I think the rest of the franchises, like the Southern Braves, for example, who haven't announced any changes yet, are probably going to look at the reaction to the ones who've had a head start, keeping with that, in the rebranding race, and said, well, actually, that's not a really good idea. We'll stick with what we've got with some minor changes. So anyway. Be interesting to see, I think, overall what happens to the 100 this year around both, most things will stay the same, right? The great players will play, the TV deal will be in place, the sponsors will come, but as to whether the crowds will come or not, we're going to have to wait and see. I guess actually there was something.
The one positive, mate, could be. As I say, the one positive is with these links and these changes, is we could finally see some Indian stars here in the summer. By these links, and that's one thing I think, which is probably why the whole deal was done in the first place and gone for it. So hopefully we see, which I think will improve the competition. But we can get some of these Indian megastars over, because historically, that they've been reluctant to come, or not even been allowed to come.
Yeah, it will certainly help the TV deal, with someone picking it up and broadcasting it back in India, which is what the sponsors want and whatever. So, ultimately, it is a commercial proposition, right? It's not, it's there to entertain fundamentally. And that's what it's going to do. And it'll have more eyeballs on it, because by virtue of, as you rightly say, more Indian players playing, and crowds will flock who may not ordinarily gone to watch the 100 because their heroes who are the Indian players aren't playing in it. So we'll wait and see what happens there, I think. Please remember to like and subscribe and enjoy the rest of the show. 19 Cricket World Cups going on at the moment down in Zimbabwe. I don't know if you watch much of it, but it's an interesting tournament, that, because, players like Ricky Ponting, Steve Smith, Virat Kohli, have won that, and in fact they won that before they picked up a senior global trophy. England won it in 1998, but Graham Swan was the only member of that side, which included people like Owe Shah, and I think Rob Key was in it as well. Graham Swan's the only person that's won a senior trophy from that team, and this can't be close of play without a bit of research by me, but only 10 to 15% of those who play at the under-19 level go on to win full caps. Jonesy, is it more of a filter than it is a conveyor belt?
Yeah, 100%. It's a conveyor belt. Well, you're choosing from county players, so they're going to go on and have different careers within county. Some go on to have 15-year plus ones, but you also have guys who play for England under 19 who are out of the game maybe within 3 or 4. So there's that bit. But in terms of at the higher level, that next step up is such a big one. I can understand your stat if it's true, and it's fairly understandable. And so if you asked if I haven't been watching much, I'm keeping there's little bits that pop up on social media. Obviously, Ben Dawkins from Kent, who I've got a bit of an eye on. He did well in the lead up against the West Indies. Didn't get much the other day. Thomas Roux, who I'm impressed with, as the captain. I think he's from little bits I've seen, he looks like a solid character. And then the other bits, I think, Bata from Japan got the country's first ever 100 at this level. So there's little bits which, but it's also a bit of a sad state of affairs that people don't really take too much of an interest in what happens whilst it's going on. It's it's sort of the level isn't something that massively attracts people to it, which for me is a great shame because the lads out there, if they you mentioned Swanee there who won it, and Rob Key, I think Rob might even captained that side. For them at the time, it is important for them, but it's not a guarantee that they're going to have a future career in the game. That is for sure.
I think that's true of football as well. Under 19, under 21 World Cups or whatever, you don't really watch. And then if I looked at that same statistic, it may not be that dissimilar in football than it is to cricket of kids who are representing their nation at under 21 level. How many of those go through and play either Premier League football or for their country? But yeah, you said Ben Dawkins and Thomas Root. There's a lad called Ralphie Alberts who plays for Surrey. Jimmy White's grandson, sort of stat there, in case you didn't know that. A lad called Manny Lumsden, who played at my old club at Hook and Union Basics up near Basingstoke. 16 years old, bowling 140 clicks. He's at Hampshire now. And a lad called Sebastian Morgan, who's at Winchester College here, or was. And he looked head and shoulders above anybody else on that pitch with bat or ball. But yet, I guess when you put him into the Middlesex setup, which is where he's got a contract, he needs to fight for to be seen as being, to get in the Middlesex first team and then, future honours, because obviously the jump, I'm saying obviously, I don't know, you're the one who knows, the jump up from sort of club level / school level to county cricket must be enormous.
Huge. Yeah, huge. You can be a dominant force at all those age groups, but yet when it comes to playing against men who work you out, and just the mindset of, hang on a minute, I'm now a professional, I'm playing for your job, my job, that extra pressure is huge. And so at under 19s where yes, there's TVs out there and what have you, but you haven't got that amount of eyeballs compared to when you just go to if you play your first county matches like Ben Dawkins did, and you're walking out there and you're thinking, hang on a minute, I'm a professional here. I'm being paid for this. And then you walk through the members, and if you've done something, there'll be, there's the good bit that members will want your signature, and those guys will be going around the counties, and everyone will be wanting their signatures now. But then there's also the pressurized bit that, that the members will be also expecting you to produce, and if you don't, you can be pretty ready to feel that pressure. So it's bits. I think the other one I'm trying, which I saw a beautiful ball from the other day, was Rayan Ahmed's little brother.
Yeah, brother Farhan,
who bowls off spin.
Yeah, plays for Notts.
Farhan. That's it. And he's one out of that side could be the quickest to be catapulted up into the main men's England team, because he's, they're looking for a spinner, and obviously with Shoaib Bashir, and and watching him bowl, and he's got an unbelievable reputation. He's had storming seasons for last year for Notts, taking wickets, and so he's one who could catapult quite quickly onto the full international scene. Yeah,
him and his brother. Ran, who's at Leicestershire, also bats a bit. I mean, he could be the answer at 8. It'd be amazing to see at a time where England might play 2 spinners in a particular game as opposed to none like they did on the Ashes tour. We need to close on some sad news. Geraint, someone that and I had some dealings with back in the day, former ECB CEO David Collier, who's died in the last week, aged 70. He must have been CEO when you guys were winning the Ashes in 2005, was he?
Yeah, and he was around a lot, and just a very gentle man. He very supportive of us as players, but someone who wasn't overly obtrusive with what he went about. He didn't sort of come in, he didn't demand to be in places like dressing rooms and everything like that. He just let us get on with it. But what I remember most is how just he was a very, very nice man and someone very easy to talk to. So it is sad to see of his passing.
Yeah, and for me, it's always a mark of somebody when they have absolutely no idea who you are, and they are the CEO of the England and Wales Cricket Board, and they respond to your emails. I mean, that just shows, the sign of the mark of a man that he was. I think he was athletic. Where was he before? He worked in America, I think, because I know Peter Hutton, an old friend of mine, paid a good tribute to him on LinkedIn as well. But anyway, our condolences to the Collier family, and that's that. That was our first. That was our first weekly show. We can do this every week. We might have to brush up on a few bits. I think that the 11s that we pick have got to get more and more obscure. I think that actually turned out to be a bit too easy, to be honest with you. I mean, if you got it and you managed to do it, it couldn't have been that difficult, bearing in mind all of the golfing and teaching in that order that you have to do. You managed to find time to do it, so that's good. So I'm going to make it more obscure next week. And yeah, anything happening apart from marking this week that our listeners should know about, or is it as much as it gets?
What's going on? Actually, I'm off to the rugby on Saturday. So my youngest son Tommy is a bit of a pocket rocket rugby player. So over Christmas time we had a look at stuff, and so we're going to watch Saracens against Newcastle, I think it is.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
So yeah, so Sarries should comfortably win that, but
You've
it's
got a
more about
box
going and
somewhere, or sort of prawn sandwich
no,
brigade. Yeah, sort of
no,
hoity-toitying it.
mate. Well,
No.
who knows if someone of any note at Saracens happens to be listening? Highly unlikely, but if there's someone out there in the rugby world and wants to invite me and Tommy in, but no, other than that, no, I've booked car parking. I'll be walking in and probably sitting up in the nosebleeds, but I'm looking forward to it. So I do enjoy going to watch live sport. Don't get the chance to do it massively, but it's a long weekend for us in at St Lawrence. So every 3 weeks we finish early on a Friday afternoon, and the boarders get the chance to have it. We call it an exeat. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
making the
remember
most
that
of
well
my
from my
exeat,
school
and
days. Yeah.
yeah, going off to watch some Sarries rugby.
I thought Kent operated on a different public holiday system to the rest of the UK, but clearly not. No, I remember the exit from my school days. So there you go. Right, that's the end of that, mate. You do what you need to do, and I will catch you next week for another episode of Close of Play with. Let's see what the cricket world throws up in the next 7 days for us to talk about. This time next week. Thanks very much for listening. See you then. So thank you for watching this episode of Close of Play. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify and Apple. It helps us a lot to get more content out there, more reach, get the algorithm working in our favor a bit. And we look forward to seeing you next time.